Welcome back, homies. Jackson Wilkie, my main man, Jesse Dow. This is going to be, we're bringing the podcast back. We had hundreds of agents reaching out wanting us to bring back the podcast. So this will be Channel Junkies, Real Estate Unfiltered. So weekly, we're going to still be doing YouTube for real estate tips and videos. And then weekly, Jesse and I will be dropping the podcast. Today, we're talking about Zillow basically yanking listings off of the platform. Homes.com is battling against Zillow, kind of trying to take market share. Compass has been making some major headlines, and Ryan Serhant said they are taking the Barnes and Noble's approach. So, are they going to be something of the past? We're also going to be talking about Home.com retaliating, saying that they're actually going to boost the listings when Zillow yanks them. And Homes.com is owned by CoStar, pushing the industry towards commercial world. That's not a good thing. So, J-Dow, we had a lot of people reach out to us, and they wanted this back. We're going to be unfiltered. We're going to give you the real inside scoop of what's going on in the real estate world so that you agents can make the best decisions possible.
Mm-hmm.
J-Dow, first of all, what in the hell? I still can't even wrap my brain around this. What is Compass aligning with Zillow, or are they breaking apart with Zillow? Why are those two like tangled together?
Yeah. So basically, what you have happening right now is you have kind of like a battle of brokerages. Like you're seeing a line being drawn where you're seeing luxury brokerages such as like Compass, Element, the agency, Corcoran, and Howard Hanna, which isn't a luxury brokerage. They're like a run-of-the-mill brokerage, traditional brokerage, but they're all like siding on this side of like anti-clear cooperation and anti-MLS. And then all of that is being backed with like Homes.com. So Homes.com took their position where they were on the same side as, Compass. And what happened was a couple of weeks ago, Zillow came out and said, we are no longer going to allow homes that are listed that are not listed on the MLS within 24 hours of being marketed on Zillow effective May 1st. So that's just in line with clear cooperation. And what I saw was all of these
May 13th. Have they done it?
Oh yeah, they did it. They not only the MLS pulled the listings out of the MLS, which happened up in Washington with NWMLS. They yanked all the listings out of the MLS, and so did Zillow and Redfin. So Zillow was the first one to make this move by coming out saying that they were going to pull out any listings that were not marketed on the MLS within 24 hours to be in line with clear cooperation. Now, Redfin followed suit. eXp Realty was the first brokerage to back that position, and then we saw the dominoes start to fall. Next Home, and then so on and so forth. But then you saw Homes.com come out and say that they're taking the opposite approach. And so what you've seen now is a battle of the brokerages and a battle of the platforms, and everyone's picking their side. So yes, Zillow pulled all of those listings out, and they pulled all the listings off the platform that were marketed off MLS. And Zillow said, because they're like, well, how are you going to know which platforms or which houses are being marketed and this and that? And Zillow just said, look, we know. So all of these listings.
Questions about this, by the way.
Yeah, I mean,
it makes zero sense. Why is Zillow doing this?
Well, realistic. Okay, so just think about this: as if there's what Zillow is. This is a very complex situation.
Yeah.
And so like we'll put the layers back to make it very easy to understand.
Thank you.
If you're a home seller, Jackson, do you think you get the most activity on your listing when it's marketed to 10% of the market, or when you're marketing to 100% of the market?
100%, dog.
Exactly. So I think we all can agree that the best way to get the highest price for the home is to put it in front of everyone. Well, what Compass has came out and done is they call it a 3-phase marketing program. And they say, come over and test your listing on our platform. And they call it an open listing. So like anybody can market the home. And so they're marketing their property on the Compass.
Compass can do it?
They're saying any agent at any brokerage can do it. This is how they're trying to work around this whole situation. They're calling it an open listing. So come test your house over on our platform, which they're putting estimated 25 to 30% of their listings on this platform. And if the house, they say that you can test pricing, you can market it to the people on their platform. The biggest difference between like Compass's platform and say like the EXP exclusive platform is the EXP exclusive platform is only for EXP agents and it's behind a paywall. Compass's is being marketed to the broad market. Anybody can see those listings. And so they're telling the consumers you can test it on our platform, market it on our platform, and if it doesn't sell over here, then you can go on the MLS knowing that that price didn't work, adjust your pricing, do whatever you need to do and go on the MLS. So of that 25 to 30% of the listings on the Compass site, 6% of them are selling on the Compass platform. The rest go to the MLS. So what the obvious situation that's happening here is Compass is trying to create a position for their agents to double in the houses. The problem with that, Jackson, is nobody sees what those houses truly sell for. There's no public information to know exactly what happened. So what we've seen now, consumers coming to the woodwork saying they listed on the Compass platform. Their agent told them their house was worth, say, $500,000 less than they thought it was worth. They put it on the platform. They listed it. They got an offer. That deal fell out. They got another offer. That deal fell out. So then they went on the MLS, and the house ended up selling for $500,000 to $1 million more than what they were under contract on the Compass platform. Because, what did I say? The broad market is over here with everyone else. So Compass is positioning as like, we're doing you a favor. You're going to get the same results on our platform as you can on the MLS, but over here it's like a testing ground to see if your price really works. Now, I mean, we can see a lot of problems with that model and a lot of problems with that methodology.
What would you say if you were to read their mind? Like what's their goal of doing that? I know you've kind of touched on it, but
their goal is simple. It's to double in the deals and the boost and use it as a recruiting tool. The thing is they're
okay.
If you look at their billboards, they're all over the country. I see them everywhere. They are misleading the public. That is the problem. And if it's not every single one of us, I don't care who you are. If you're selling your mom's house, are you saying that the best possibility for your mom to get the best outcome for the sale of her home or your parents is to put it on an exclusive or on one single website's platform? Or is it the best opportunity to go on the MLS? Now, here's the thing. There is a place and a reason for listings to be privately marketed. If you're a lawyer and you're overseeing criminal cases 24/7, should you be on the public market or the private market? Probably private. If you're an attorney representing a cartel member or a pedophile, should your house be marketed on the public MLS or in privacy? Probably in privacy because people probably want to take you down. So yes, there is a rhyme and a reason that houses should be put on these platforms. Now, even at EXP, people are like, well, you guys have an exclusive platform. We just saw the results from like the last 6 months of sales, and ours is only for EXP agents to see behind a paywall. It's not public facing, and we literally sold like 6 houses on that platform. Compass is literally selling 6% of their listings on their private platform. However, like I said, they're putting 25 to 30% on and only 6% are selling. So most of them are still going to the public market, but they're trying to position it as it's like, this is this good thing over here that we're doing. And by golly, we're doing the right thing for the consumer. But I always say at the end of the day, always try to understand where your leaders are trying to take you, right? So if it's in the best interest for, like, look at who's on the side of non-clear cooperation. It's all the luxury brokerages because, and here's the thing, that's 43,000 agents and a fraction of the housing industry. I believe that you know how it is. They all believe in brand. They all think their brokerage has the most relationships. And that's what that world is predicated on. I wouldn't even care if they took that subset of real estate and made their own real estate world over there. Right. However, when we take the masses, the 97% of the industry, that cannot be the rule. A $400,000 tract home in Houston, Texas shouldn't be marketed off the MLS. You're not going to get the best and highest for that. So seeing all the luxury brokerages band together, and that's being backed by homes.com. If you look at the portal world, Jackson, Zillow represents about 50% share of the internet traffic. Now, if you take the next up one, it's realtor.com. If you took realtor.com, homes.com, and Redfin all together, they wouldn't even match what Zillow does. And it's like Zillow generates billions of views every single month. So when you see someone like homes.com say that they are going to, they want to compete with Zillow, what are they going to do on every single scenario? They're always going to go against Zillow. Homes.com is owned by CoStar. They're a commercial focused brokerage trying to get into the residential space. Of course, they want to dismantle the MLS. So if you want to go down this path and put us into a commercial world, what you're going to see happen is you're going to see about 6 players, just like you see in the commercial space, dominating the industry. And it's going to create more lawsuits, more confusion, and it's going to be like, if you look at commercial, you don't even see commercial on social media. It's because they don't allow it to happen. So it's like the wild, wild west out in the commercial world. And how many times do we hear agents talk about commissions and lawyers and all of these things? So crazily, if you think about this, the US is like the poster child for the residential real estate space. And when people are like, it's so expensive to sell a house here, out of the G7 countries, we are the second cheapest country to sell a house. If you try to sell a house in any other foreign country out there, it's like a 6-month process, and you're going to pay like 10% commissions. And you're going to see the house on 10 different platforms. It's going to have 10 different prices, and it's going to have 10 different set of pictures, and it's going to be an absolute nightmare. The one thing that I do love that our brokerage has done is when the Rapatoni MLS went down in the San Francisco Bay Area a couple years ago, they went and built a system on the back end through Zenlist to syndicate out to every portal in case the MLS ever goes down again. So let's just say the MLS was to get dismantled. Well, guess what? The companies that are prepared for this, we can literally, if an MLS goes down, we flip this switch and all of our listings go out to every single platform. We are not going to skip a beat, and we are going to savage the industry. That's just the facts. Do I want that to happen? Absolutely not. And am I a big fan and proponent of NAR and everything they've done? Absolutely not. However, I do think the way that the industry is set up now is basically it's from the course of actions that have been taken over the course of time, and we've came to this system that we now know. And if you talk to agents that have been in the game for like 30 years, where they used to have to get their MLS book and go in there and they'd comb through it and they'd find the listings for their clients and then give them the book and say, hey, here's the 6 listings that are now fitting in your wheelhouse. That is what essentially Compass has done now with their in-office listing book, which they now are like promoting, which is absolutely insane to me. It's like they're going back in history. And that's like when you saw that Ryan Serhant video post, it was like, he's like, they are literally going into the world of Barnes and Noble when Amazon is in existence. And here's the thing, Robert Reffkin, the CEO of Compass, he is a trader from Wall Street that started Compass. His focus is not to do what's best for the industry. It's to do what's best for the investors. That is one thing that I always say is look at where your leaders are trying to take you and why they're trying to take you down this path. So CoStar, commercial brokerage, siding with all these luxury brokerages that are trying to create a commercial-based world. It's a whole different world of real estate. So yes, they should be able to go out there and create their own system. Go out there and do luxury on your own platform. Make it like commercial. I'm sure it'll be great for your consumers. At the end of the day, when you look at the Consumer Protection Act or the Consumer Protection Agency, I always look and see like which side of the fence they're siding on. They are siding on the side of Zillow. The problem is Zillow has left this bad taste in a lot of agents' mouth. So anytime Zillow does something, agents automatically go to the opposite side of this. So I've seen all of these agents posting this content saying, Zillow's the enemy. Zillow's taking all the listings off the social media. Even agents that aren't even being impacted by this, they're making Zillow look like the bad guy. Zillow in this case is the good guy. And that's what agents need to get through is like Zillow is doing what's right for the consumers. And so when you asked me, did Zillow pull those listings? Yes, Zillow pulled those listings, and they had plenty of warning. They were told, hey, if this isn't on the MLS by May 1st, we will pull your listings. And I'm sure you're going to see lawsuits come down the pipe of Compass suing Zillow, Compass suing the NWMLS thing. uh, co-star suing someone, everyone's suing each other. And this is like what Elon Musk talks about, like in the AI world, is if we would have focused on moving the needle forward and not focused on suing everybody, our AI would be 10 years ahead of time, and we wouldn't be dealing with like DeepSeek, the Chinese AI, coming in and just eating everyone's lunch. So I know that like a lot of information, but it's very important because right now we are shaping the real estate industry for the future.
Right. I
And
want to,
if
yeah, I want to
agents
talk about that too. I do have a
and if
question for
agents
you.
yeah, go ahead.
So real quick, because that is a lot. We'll break each one of those into segments. So I want to know more about the future of real estate because that's where my mind goes. Okay, what does this mean for us? But real quick, guys, I just put his email up there, jesse@realagentnow.com. And then here's mine as well, info@jacksonwilkie.com. So this is going to be at least a weekly segment, if not more. We're going to try and get guests on here as well, and not just real estate agents, economists, whoever we can get. Or if you've got interesting, not only opinions about some of these matters, but maybe oppositions, we're open to that as well. So if you have an opposition
100%.
to what Jesse says, we'd love to bring you onto the show, and we'll just call it a debate for lack of a better term. But we all want to learn more. So both of our emails are there. You can also comment down below whatever questions you have for future videos, anything. So that's what we're going to predicate this whole podcast on, is just kind of, like we said, real estate unfiltered, really giving you what these events mean, and the opposition side of that. So if you don't want to comment down below because you're afraid of what people will say or whatever, you can just email us directly. We'll bring it up on the show. And if you have an interesting guest or yourself or an opposing view, hey, reach out to us. We'd love to have you on this. But Jesse, let's talk about that. First of all, I have two kind of questions: the future of real estate, but also the future of MLS and NAR. I think you go to any Facebook group right now, and it's like someone brings up NAR and it's like 965 comments. What do you think, truly, objectively, what the future kind of holds, maybe next few years for those two major players in the game?
Well, I think it's really I always feel like an agent talking AR or the MLS is the same thing as a home seller or a for sale by owner talking negatively about a real estate agent. I literally just got a call the other day from this. We'll just say somebody called and they said, "Hey, I want to see your listing." And I was like, "Okay." I'm like, "Do you have a buyer's agent that can show it to you?" And it was a woman, and she's like, "No, I don't need an agent." And she said, real estate agents aren't paid now by the buyer's agent isn't paid by the listing agent, and I just feel like I can represent myself. I said, well, that's not really true, but I said it's all still negotiable. And I was like, it's 99% of the listings, actually 100% of the listings we've sold have always paid the buyer's agent commission still. And she's like, well, I just don't need an agent. I can represent myself. And I said, well, how are you going to get in the house? She said, well, you're the listing agent. You can let me in. I said, no, I represent the seller. I don't represent you. She's like, well, you have to show the house. Like, you represent the seller, so you need to show the house. And I'm like, I represent the seller. They told me I can't do dual agency, so no, I can't represent you. And she just like this lady could not wrap her mind around that. And so I'm like, you're gonna have to get an agent, like somehow, some way, like you're gonna need an agent. So I think it's funny that we've came into this position. But
Mm-hmm.
going back to your point is when the future of where we're heading is a couple of things. And I've like learned a lot of things like being on the leadership at EXP is the or not like leadership like CEO role or anything like that, but just like every week they do a call for the top agents with attraction and whatnot. So like you get to hear some inside stuff. And I was asking Leo, the CEO, I said, well, doesn't NAR like reach out to you guys when they make these rules, especially when the brokerages are on the opposing side of a view? He's like, we have asked them so many times if we could put together like a panel or like at least get our input based on this information. And I see the steps that NAR has taken and what they've done, and sometimes they make really bonehead decisions, and that's just my personal opinion. And sometimes they make really good decisions.
Yeah.
And I think when Clear Cooperation implemented like the $1 minimum to pay buyers agents, I wrote 5 letters to them saying this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And that's like when they mandated buyers
Did they,
agent
wait,
comp.
wait, wait? You wrote? Did they respond?
No, they never responded.
But you wrote. I love it, dude.
Oh yeah, dude, I'll call them all the time. I still call their attorneys whenever I have questions. But that's the problem, is they're not clear communicators. It's still kind of like hidden stuff. And then when they make decisions, it's some of the times it's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And I'm like,
Yeah.
if they just had, this is like when I worked in corporate America and you had a marketing team here and a sales team here, and the marketing team would go and make all these decisions. And then if a product failed, it was the sales team's fault. If the product was a success, it was the marketing team's fault, or that it was the reason why it was successful. And I still remember one time we did this rebrand and they did all these things, the marketing team did, and the sales team's like, this isn't going to work. So then the product launch happened, it failed. They tried it again like 6 more times, and then finally they did it the way that we asked them to do it, and then it was a success. And that's like, sometimes I feel like people do these things to like keep their job relevant. It's kind of like what we're seeing with the US government right now. I don't want to get political, but you see all these people that were like putting themselves on payroll and doing all these things to make all this money. Is I feel sometimes that's what NAR does. And I do think it's important to have an agency that has our, to protect us. And, the MLS did kind of sell us out to Zillow because they were selling our data to Zillow. And I know you see all these agents are like, this is my lead, this is my this is my that.
Right.
It's like, do you know how much easier real estate has gotten because of technology? And any agent could have created a platform. NAR used to own realtor.com, and guess what? They don't own that anymore. So there's been decisions made along the way where people had their hand out. The way that real estate is set up in America has provided the most homeownership in any other country in the world. So everything goes hand in hand, and nothing's ever going to be perfect. But at the end of the day, is it helping people, and is it clear? Is it like who is it helping, and who is it lending a hand to? And I do think NAR does a good job at protecting us and trying to do the right thing. I just think that they need to do a better job at vetting their leaders and putting in people in place that actually have the agent's best interest at mind and the consumer's best interest at mind, not like going towards anybody's agenda items based on certain things that we've seen happen in the past.
Yep. That I think is what most people talk about. It's just kind of like the leadership aspect of it, like being in the dark. But let's move forward.
Exactly.
We got a few more topics. We can do a whole NAR segment, I'm sure. I'm like really curious about this whole because it seems for the past year you've had a lot of conversations with me about really this like homes.com versus Zillow.com, and they are battling, it seems, daily. And I know that me and you personally have been reached out multiple times by home.com for a lot of our content, a lot of our video. So it seems as if they're making a big move, and I know they are definitely spending some serious money. What do you feel, or who do you think will be the kind of will there be a new king? Will there be clearly like a new leader soon?
No. I mean, everyone's been knocking on Zillow's door forever. And these, like I said, it's the battle of the portals. The problem is like homes.com is literally siding with the side of 43,000 agents. There's 43,000 luxury agents. And this is the same conversation I had because we've had some agents, make some moves and like going to brokerages based on like their position and whatnot. And I'm just like, think about what they're like presenting in their site. They're trying to position themselves in this world where there's 43,000 agents. There's 1.5 million NAR agents, and there's like another 1.5 million non-NAR agents. So realistically, why would homes.com be pushing into this segment of the luxury space, of supporting these luxury brokerages? Once again, go back to what the reason is. Commercial real estate world. That's what they want this to go to, because CoStar owns homes.com, which is a commercial platform. These luxury agents, luxury brokerages are pushing into a world of commercial. So that's exactly where we're seeing these people line up. If you want to predicate your business model on 43,000 agents, good luck to you. And Zillow is the 800-pound gorilla in the room. And guess what they did? And this is like, okay, whether you like Zillow or not, I don't buy Zillow. I don't support Zillow. But guess what they did? What changed the industry for real estate with Zillow? The Zestimate. What do? They created transparency. We can all sit here and make fun and laugh at the Zestimate, this and that. I guarantee you the Zestimate has generated more home sales for every agent that watches this than any of their cold calling measures or any of their
Right.
prospecting measures. It's because everyone sits there and looks at their Zestimate on their phone and they're like, oh, my house is worth this. I'm going to call my agent.
Yep. No, 100%. And obviously the what they call it, the glass door transparency, being able to see the MLS. So, which is something of the past, and most people nowadays don't even think about, that you had to call an agent to get MLS access to see what's for sale. And now everybody gets to see everything. So is that, in your mind, is that like I'm curious, is that homes.com like submission? Like, all right, we're not going to take a big chunk of that, so we'll just kind of venture over and focus on this?
Um, you're saying homes.com is focusing on this space now?
I just feel like, okay, if they're going that route of commercial and co-star and luxury, did they like bow out? Did they realize they couldn't compete with Zillow, or like why do they do that?
Here's the thing. If you're like a small dog trying to get on the porch, what does a small dog do? It always yaps at the big dog. And then the big dog just acts like nothing's happening and it just like walks away, right? And you see it like with like these little dogs. There's like if you ever see those videos where it's like how dogs react and it's a small dog, it's like a shadow comes in, it's like, bah! But then like a big dog, it doesn't even move. That's exactly what you're seeing here. You're seeing the small dog trying to get on the porch, so it's barking at the big dog, and it's trying to put itself in a position of just trying to create relevancy.
Right.
Homes.com even said that they were going to spend like $100 million to
Right.
generate all this activity, to generate this, all this traffic on their portal. And what's their positioning? Are they setting up for a sell off? Are they, you're seeing all of these big giant mergers happening and buyouts happening with, Redfin getting bought out by Rocket Mortgage.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I could see Rocket Mortgage buying homes.com. I mean, CoStar is the biggest player in the commercial space. If they really wanted to get into the residential space, I mean, all they really would need to do is merge in with a real estate brokerage in the residential space. I just don't see it happening because here's the thing. The only way it would happen is they'd have to like merge up with Compass. And this is what I said when the whole NAR thing went down. I said this is going to open up the biggest floodgate for a brokerage and a lending company to come together. And I was like, I
Dude,
was really hoping that would be ours.
we got to
And
do a
and then
whole podcast on that. I want you to do like research. Maybe we can use ChatGPT, like build out a plan of how that could actually happen. And again, I think every agent's gonna be like, "F that, dude. Rocket Mortgages is trash." And dude, it's all about simplicity. I always take the view of like walking in the client's shoes. Look, you and I both know we can hook up any kind of technology in the world and try and derive business and grow our, like the best agents in the world are face to face with many people. It's very personal, and typically these people, these clients, like you said, it's all Zillow. Like they're just leveraging Zillow, Homes.com, Redfin, like massive platforms. So it is more black and white than that. So the craziest shit ever. I would think it was like, what was it, Dan Patrick or Colin? I was listening to like national sports radio, and boom, like a huge Rocket Mortgage ad. God, what did they say? And they're basically, we want to make home buying easy and affordable, and it was like new mortgages nationwide for 1%. And I turned to my wife and I'm like, holy shito, like I think this stuff is bigger than you think, and people hear that 1% down to buy a house, regardless of what realtors say, dude. That shit sticks, dude.
dude, not Redfin, Rocket Mortgage accounts for 25% of the home loans in
Yeah,
America, dude.
I think they own
And,
stadiums and shit. Like they make dough.
oh, dude. And then they just bought they're buying Mr. Cooper, Redfin. Dude, it's all data. And I'm telling you right now, I was like praying so hard that it would happen with the EXP and like Rocket or something, because I'm like, if you can bring those two business models together, and why Redfin and Rocket make a lot of sense,
Wait, what
because
two business models? What do you like? What do you mean?
lending and real estate
Okay.
purchases, buying and selling. Because like, there's a lot of residential real estate companies that have tried to do lending and vice versa, and it's
Yep.
never worked. Now you're
Or
taking
agents.
Now
Yep.
you're taking a formidable real estate brokerage, which I don't even say that they know their place. And this is like Rocket, they know their place. There's not 50 lenders out there selling their product, but they have a big giant market share. And Redfin isn't out there advertising they do advertise like on billboards and ads like that, but their agents aren't cold calling and prospecting and things of that nature. So you're taking two products that are a low cost product of what they portray themselves to be. Redfin spent hundreds of $1 millions to sell a 1% listing. They still never took significant market share, but now comes Rocket. So now what's going to happen is, even if they say Redfin is the real estate agent's app of choice, and I'll be honest, that's my choice of app is Redfin, because where we live, there's a lot of HOAs, and Redfin displays the HOA at the top of the feed, and Zillow does not. So for me, that's why I choose Redfin over any other portal. And I do think it's a very interesting concept to see Redfin, getting bought out by Rocket, which is now going to be done this summer. And so I wouldn't be surprised if you're on your Redfin app and it says right there, like, use our lending product for 4.99% and everyone else is out at 7, and they're going to look like they have this massive competitive advantage, because right now on Zillow, you don't get a thing to tap on to say like, get our loan product. But guess what every buyer does is they're interested in 4.99. So they're going to click on that. They're going to contact the agent.
How does an agent win from this? Like, what do we do? Just sit back and watch, or is there like going to be ways besides becoming a Redfin agent?
Here's the problem. Every agent's going to let it sit there and take up their mind. This is going to piss them off.
Eke at them.
It's going to put them in this negative connotation.
Yep.
I've never, I heard about Rocket back when I was like selling $300,000 houses. Now on listing, sometimes, yeah, you do get a Rocket loan, but dude, we don't even play in that space. It's very rare that someone says I'm using Rocket. So it's like, yes, is it a big thing out there? Absolutely. However, if you don't make it a thing, it won't be a thing. And if you're doing what's right for your customers and what's right for the real estate industry and for your business, it's not going to be a thing. Technology is going to come. Technology is going to go. There's going to be disruptors, whether it's brokerages, whether it's tech portals, whether it's lead generation systems, AI, doesn't matter. Embrace it, let it prove itself, and then deploy it as needed. End of story.
End of story.
That's the problem, is the agents let that get too caught up in this stuff. And it's like,
is this what fires you up? Is that not all these news stories, but it's the reaction of the agents.
It's 100% the reaction. Okay. Gary Vee just said the best thing in his keynote for 2025, and I loved it, is he said, human beings are very adverse to technology. They always say no. But at the end of the day, technology is 100% of the time. Yeah. And he's like, when Facebook came out, everyone hated Facebook. When Amazon came out, they said it would never compete with Barnes and Noble. It was just Barnes and Noble. When TikTok came out, everybody was hating on it. Instagram. When Google came out, the schools were trying to ban search engines. GPT's out. Now the schools are saying you can't use Chat GPT. Instead of fighting against it because you're never going to win, the teachers in the schools that are embracing this and teaching the kids how to engineer prompts. It's like when I learned Excel in high school, and I told my math teacher, like, you're done, dude. And he's like, they should have been teaching us how to use these things effectively, because now as an adult, I do sometimes randomly do math with the kids on paper, but dude, 99% of the time, I'm either asking ChatGPT the mathematical equation, or I'm typing it into my scientific calculator here that I can toggle between scientific, basic, and then make my math notes or even convert mathematical equations. Dude, it's like, teach people how to do this stuff. I can go onto YouTube right now and learn more about math in 5 minutes than I learned in like 4 years of high school. It's like, or even in college. It's unbelievable, dude. So yes, embrace technology and change. And I'm telling you, dude, the consumers on the other side of this, if you can speak intelligently about it, and you can use it as you're in your arsenal, it's so powerful. It's the agents that fight against it and then like put themselves in a position of non-change. And it's kind of like, I see this on YouTube as well, is agents are so willing to die on the sword, because they want to prove to people that they are being successful. And then they'll go out and generate leads through Facebook and Google or whatever it may be. And then they put up these numbers on a scoreboard, and then they claim it's on YouTube,
Yep.
but then it's not. It's just embarrassing, dude.
No, it is. And the good news is I've got basically 3 subjects already. Guys, email us. Um, either one of us. I'm going to put them back up here. Here's mine. There's J Dow's. I already know 3 future podcasts we're going to do. We're going to do a full Rocket Mortgage takeover podcast. What that, what kind of the big conglomerates, the Zillows, the Rockets all together. AI takeover in real estate and top tech for realtors. If you got to embrace it, that means we got to go over it. And I think it might be a little more simple than you think. And when we say that, a lot of times, Jada, it's always like, oh, that's so many tech platforms. We got to learn so many things. And I know you had a conversation the other day with a realtor. It's like, well, I got this incredible tech for, following up with past clients. And I got to, and you were just like, you're making everything so hard. But we'll simplify it like what you actually do. And then you guys got to comment down below or email us. There's our emails. If you want to just privately, make sure that you email us whatever question you want for this podcast. Again, if you have opposing views, we want to hear that too. So we're going to kind of start something new. Real Estate Unfiltered. Make sure you guys check us out. Subscribe so you don't miss these. And then our weekly YouTube for real estate videos as well.
Can I add one thing about the AI thing real quick?
Yeah, dog.
I saw the funniest clip the other day, and it was this guy who said, as real estate agents, or he said, there's these people out here taking real advantage of AI and doing it for real useful, important things.
Right.
However, real estate agents are using AI to make Barbie dolls. And I'm like, dude, that is so freaking true.
Barbie dolls? What you mean?
Don't you see those like little GI Joes and Barbie doll boxes where it's like, Jesse, the real estate GI Joe, and it's got my cup of coffee, my open house site, and this and that. And he's like, this is what real estate agents are doing to use AI for. And actually, I went to this event the other day, and this guy got up there, and he's like the AI guru. And I'm like literally sitting there going like, and it was funny because afterwards, I saw this other agent there that wasn't at our brokerage, and I just sent him a message. I said, "What'd you think of the event?" And he just said, honestly, he's like, I go, "What was the best and the worst?" And I won't say what the best was, but he said the worst was definitely the AI. And he goes, I think that guy literally took that whole presentation and made it in Chat GPT, and then he just regurgitated the whole thing, and it was so much basic AI information. And that's like what is going to happen if people are talking about like AI disrupting the real estate industry. If you let AI do things, it'll give you the most vanilla outcome. And I think GPT is getting better and better every single day. I use it every day for lots of different things. However, if you're like, write my email follow-up campaign for the next 15 days, like, dude, every single person uses that same exact prompting and they're going to get the same exact output. So engineering is very key. But here's the thing, dude. Like now with the voice AI, like here's a pro tip for agents out there is you can literally say, hey, ask me 100 questions to identify the gaps in my business and how I can increase the revenue in my business today by doing the exact same thing I'm already doing.
Yep.
And it'll literally go through and ask you 100 questions. And I listen to these guys that use GPT very, very, very impactfully. And like listen to the All In podcast guys, and they're like having 2-hour conversations with that thing. And
Dude,
it's just like, it's however you're using it is the output that you're going to get. So I think like there's a lot of generic things that are being used for it. And like these agents are making these things that are attracting other agents. And that's like the same thing on social media platforms. It's like,
dude, you just nailed it.
Agents are just teaching agents on how to make things that attract other agents. So when they're getting these big view videos, it's mostly coming from real estate agents.
And I don't want to poo-poo on it, dude, but let's be real, because at the end of the day, the one thing you and I do is we help a lot of people, and it's typically the majority of people, especially in our elite coaching program, are the ones who bought into the real estate traps, dude. I'm talking all these different courses and everything, one touch button is easy, million views type shit, and it just gets them in a lot of trouble. And so I've spoke on so many stages, and you hear some of these people come up and talk, and you're just like, dude, you should be criminalized for what you're saying, for what you're charging. And they get the agents in the audience are just so wowed by it. And I mean, point in case, I had one Instagram influencer who was not a licensed realtor up there talking and people oohing and awing. And he went through like 20 different tech platforms that you could use and all that. And then his like signature stat was, oh, and you got to have these short, just super catchy videos. That's what goes viral. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, that's the best. He's like 95% of people watch videos on the toilet and you got to make it short. And I'm like, why? Why are realtors buying into this shit? Like, it just drives me nuts. But that's for a whole different. In fact, I got another video title: Real Estate Traps, AI, Tech, Social Media. This is Real Estate Unfiltered, homies. So we're not going to sit here and tell you we know everything. But at the end of the day, we're selling hundreds of homes, hundreds and hundreds, and scaling annually to by actually leveraging platforms. So we want to be able to give that to you guys. We've gone 40 minutes today. I think that's pretty good. J-Dow, what are you going to leave them with today? That's on the spot. Something they can actionable do, read, look into, research. In the
Yeah,
meantime,
I think
go ahead.
the whether there's a lot of noise actually in the industry, and that's what I was saying. Like people get very reactive, and it's funny because like if I don't pay attention to social media for a couple of days, I don't even know like what's going on in the world. I
Yep.
just focus on my lane. I get things done, and that's like really where I think agents' minds should be. It should be focused on the activities to get things done. Because yesterday I was reading a chart that showed like how many agents like of the top 20% of agents, how much volume they do. The lower churning agents are actually the lower producing agents are doing more business. And what that tells me is that agents' volume is like coming down. And it doesn't matter if the US is selling 4 million homes a year or 7 million homes a year. When the inventory levels, this is the thing I was actually talking to someone last night. I said, it's not the total amount of homes that you need to pay attention to, it's the inventory level that you need to pay attention to. And so like I always say that two things can be true at the same time is the inventory levels can be rising or like dropping, and the absorption rate could be dropping, but we could still keep the same inventory levels. So if we still have a competitive inventory level, which is below 4 months is a seller's market, 4 to 6 is balance, and 6 and above is a buyer's market, then there's still a lot of real estate activity being had. And I've never seen so much turnover in my life with agents moving brokerages than I've ever seen before. But more importantly, teams and brokerages making moves that I've never seen before. So the NAR lawsuit put a big squeeze on a lot of people, but now people are like trying to figure out exactly where to position themselves to hit the next big wave. And so when the markets are slower, these are the times to refine your systems and processes, dot your I's, cross your T's, make sure that your platforms and systems are all dialed in, make sure that your database is cleaned up, make sure you're putting people in your database. And are you making uh, I'll just say what I think the strategy should be for real estate agents. I think you should be making at least 10 posts a day, 2 Instagram posts, whether it's a reel or a story. If you make a reel, share it to your stories, post. You should be doing 2 Facebook posts a day. You should be doing 2 TikToks a day. You should be making your 1 YouTube long form, your 2 YouTube shorts, your LinkedIn post, and also your weekly email to your database. And so if you just follow that strategy, you'll see massive results. And you're like, well, how could I ever do that? This and that. I literally just listened to Gary Vee and Alex Hermosi's brand manager when they were on the come up talk about this. And he said they were making 300 to 400 pieces of content a week. They are putting out between 40 and 50 pieces of content every single day, dude. So when people are like, "Oh, that's too much. That's too much. That's too much. You're overflow." Trust me, the people that want to hear it are going to get what they want, and then they're gonna remember you. The average person can only remember 3 people in the field. So every one of us knows who that one agent is that dominates our market. It's because their name is consistently being shown in their face, whether it's listing signs, advertising, marketing, social media. Here's the thing: social media and email is 100% free.
Yep.
If you are not dialed in and locked in on that, you're missing the boat. And agents want to sit here and talk about not having the business. I guarantee you, there's not one single agent out there doing that activity that I just said that's not getting business. If you're doing those activities, you're getting business. It's because the agents probably tried it for a week and gave up. So do those freaking activities, and you will see the fruits of your labor.
Activities. That's it.
Yep.
All right. That is episode 1. We're going to bring it back next week or here soon. We'll be recording them. So message us. And if for you YouTube viewers, make sure that you subscribe to this podcast or this YouTube channel. Again, don't miss these. If you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever, hey, do us a favor, go down and leave us a review of the podcast. We would love to hear from you. YouTube viewers, check out this playlist right here. This is actually where I go into a full 7-week series of how to grow a real estate YouTube channel. There's nothing like this. This is like a $200,000 course and it's all free. So just start going through these. Homies, we'll see you next week.